Hello.
Hello.
This is Valerie with Wholehearted Living.
God, you still can't do it. We've been doing it for 1,000 years.
I don't know how to do it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wholehearted Living with
Valerie
and Benny.
This is like the same way we do it every time.
Every single time and I'm actually, I think I did a good job that time. And now I'm blowing it.
We'll put that as the poll.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can have a poll.
Was the intro good or not?
Was the intro any good? That's right.
Never good when I start it.
So, guys, we are glad you're with us, and I'm hoping that they got to hear last week.
Yeah, so last week we had Ray Leland on, and then we wanted to still chat with him. So this podcast today is the second part.
Yeah. So
Two-part.
if you didn't hear last week, you don't have to hear it in order to jump into this one. But last week he talked about who he is and where he's from and what he does and a little bit about himself. And then we talked a little bit about his own way of philosophy of life and then
living wholeheartedly
and children, etc. But we didn't. But you don't necessarily have to listen to it, but I think it would be good if you did.
Yeah, because I think he dives into why we talked a lot about parenting and why he is the kind of parent that he is in the first part last week.
And gets a little into, because he's an MFT, gets a little into how he approaches clients as well as, and then just his own relationships with his own family, his wife, etc. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. And we're not going to do a whole lot of banter today. Sorry, because it was pretty fun to do our interview, right?
Yeah. Do you want to do anything? Do you have anything to say?
Oh, well, I do want to talk a little bit about the 4th of July tomorrow.
Well, by the time they hear this, it'll be way past the 4th of July. But we are celebrating the 4th of July together. So if you're listening to this right now, it's already passed.
Yeah.
But we haven't gotten there yet. So
there it is. It's just like Star Trek.
We're going to our sister Stephanie's and they have a block party. And so that should be fun.
Yeah. So we're just going to be hanging out, celebrating our country. And so I hope that you guys just enjoy the next.
Yeah, but do you want to hear a funny story?
Oh, gosh, I guess. Every time you say it's going to be a funny story, I wonder, is it going to be funny?
I know, it's really not that funny. But I want to just tell you, because everybody's been on this journey with me for my gray hair.
Oh, right.
And last week we went and saw Kylie's show. She's in Shrek this time. And we went out to dinner before. And this girl got it from the booth next to us, and she was staring at me, and I could see her looking at me, but I was just like, okay, whatever. And then she looked back again, and then she finally just looked over and said, I just have to tell you, you are so beautiful. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then she goes, I love your hair. Like, I love your hair. It is gorgeous. And so I was like, oh, thank you. And that's all I normally say. Like, honestly, so many compliments about my hair, more than I've ever had in my entire life about my hair, have been since I've been growing the gray out. But then she still kind of stood there. So I was like, what do I say? So I was like,
I have a GoFundMe page.
Well, no, I was like, well, it took me a while to give into the fact that I'm going to let the grays grow in and stuff. She goes, oh, that's natural gray. I thought you did that. And so then I started thinking, okay, so that every single person has been stopping me and telling me like their hair, do they think I did this on purpose?
Yeah,
like,
well, it looks like it.
It does?
Sure.
Was that funny, Benny?
Yeah, that's hilarious. She should be on Conan O'Brien. That's what I said last episode.
I know. You're not funny. But no, I just wonder. So now do I tell every single person that says, oh, I love your hair. Oh, this is just gray hair.
Oh, I think it's important that they all know. I really don't think they care.
I was telling Kylie, and Kylie goes, no. I mean, maybe some people think you did it, but I think some people honestly think they know it's your gray coming in, and they think it looks cool.
No, I the way it looks, because it does really look very natural and purposed kind of a thing. I could easily see that somebody might want to do it like that. So,
one person that did compliment my hair a few days back had lighter roots down and then darker. So you not as light as mine, obviously, but you could tell she tried, and she did say, oh, I like your hair. And I was like, oh, you're trying to go for this, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. But you just got to be 60.
Yeah.
So that's your problem, right? So yeah,
that is my problem.
That is an absolutely hilarious story that I'll never forget. I'm going to tell my grandkids.
All right, I digress. Let's just shoot right into Ray.
Too late. Anywho, well, I am kidding though, but I actually do like your hair though. I genuinely do like your hair. It looks.
So if you're on YouTube,
nice.
I was trying to decide if I should, once the bangs go all gray, if I leave them gray, or should I just brush the tips how they are, like a dark brown right now?
No, just cut. Why in the world are you going to just be all gray?
No. I think I'm going to continue brushing the tips only because, not because I don't want to go gray. Clearly, I'm going gray. But wait until this is done. And then, because even Kylie said, I think it looks cool like that. And then it won't just be this gray patch in front with dark hair down here. You will have a little bit of a... So that's what I'm going to do, Benny. And you're not the fashion statement of the century.
I'll tell you
sure,
what.
So
I get compliments all the time. Every single time everybody sees our photos, and they're always like, "Man, your brother." Actually, I don't say my brother. I say me.
I'm like, wait, what?
Oops, I blew that. All right. Well, never mind. We're done, folks. I hope you enjoy our interview with Ray.
Yeah. So without further ado, here we go. Oh, good. Go sing.
No.
Welcome back, Ray. Welcome back.
Good to have you. I'm just wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, that's right. A week later, you're disgusting. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we just wanted to continue the conversation with you, so we didn't want to cut it off just in one episode. So now you just have free will to talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
No pressure. Open mic night.
Valerie and I are going to go to dinner.
Great. I'm gonna work the room for 30 minutes.
So a question that when you finished last time, and then we briefly talked in between. And I'm just curious, there's probably something that drives you with your clients. And I obviously don't expect you to give away any confidentiality or anything like that. Of course. But what is your mindset that gets you to help your clients? What I would assume is some type of wholeheartedness.
I assume you might be asking me kind of what is my stance, my posture, even my, philosophy towards wellness that might direct
exactly
therapeutic work or direct people. I would say that if I could put this kind of in a nutshell, if I can do that.
It doesn't have to be. It's a long podcast.
Okay. So, all the pauses, Ray. Go ahead, take inhales. Well, I think I've learned over time that the work I do is not, and it goes back to what I said earlier, I'm not a very prescriptive person because I don't have all the answers, and I don't have a one shoe fits all type of mindset. And I realize that my thought is this, is people suffer not because of what they necessarily don't know, but because of all the things that they've acquired throughout their life that they feel burdened to operate according to what they know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I realize that most of the work that I do is really a lot of deconstructing of all the things, the premises, the expectations, the things that they are burdened by to live up to, because I believe people live in very disassociative states because of all the prescriptions they've been given in life, and even exasperated now because of technology. When you see probably Instagrams, and my thought is a
TikTok, man, that's my clients. All my clients are TikTokers, and they go, well, I have this, and I go, why do you know that? Well, TikTok told me,
And next thing you know, you actually are not living as the observer. You're actually trying to live up to what you are observing. And we all have an observational ideal of who we are.
Right.
And so sometimes we're trying to live that out, like we're all a bunch of Truman shows. And so I find that has been very impairing, because my thought is this, that we have been given a wonderful gift, and it's called life. And I think the world and all of it is beautiful, but we don't live in the fullness of it because we're trying to live elsewhere.
Yeah.
We're trying to live a different person. We're trying to live in a different world. And it's almost like we're trying to find the glasses that are sitting on the tip of our nose. So, Benny, in a long way, my work is to help people deconstruct these things that don't allow them to actualize their own personal experiences in life.
It's really funny that you're talking about this.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing that's so funny is that there's this guy, I just told Valerie about this podcast. It's called A Bit of Optimism. And he has this person on who I'm not going to pronounce his name correctly. It's Mo Goddot. He worked for Google, chief business officer for them. He states that he was 28 years old, and he had more money than he could ever imagine at 28 years old. And then when he became an adult, when he became a parent, his 22-year-old died from a routine surgery. And he ended up writing a book about being happy because he obviously what he recognizes money didn't bring me happiness, right? But why I'm bringing it all up is one of the biggest things that he says is what most people do to get happy is they try to figure out what they need to add to their life.
Completely.
And he goes, I believe that what you need
yeah.
to do is to figure out what's preventing you from living the life you want
Totally.
and remove it.
Yes.
That was his big thing. And that's what I kind of hear you
Absolutely.
saying.
Yeah. Because what I'm finding is the people that I get a chance and the privilege to work with is they don't know how to authenticate their own subjective experiences in life because they're not permitted, right? There's certain things that says, oh, I can like this emotion, but I can't like that emotion.
Right.
Or I can like this thing and like that thing. And what you're doing is you're kind of bifurcating or fragmenting your own wholeness. So part of the work is being able to tune to those parts that somehow aren't acceptable,
Right.
to where you can allow all that to become into you. Because it's not so much about cutting off the shadows so you can be a brighter light. It's about the integrating of the shadows so you can be a holistic person.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my thought. And so people can't do that because they think the quest, like even holiness, morality, is more light, more light, more light, deny, deny, deny the shadow. To me, that's an imbalanced life. And so my thought is, how can we allow you to even allow yourself to say, yeah, I like that, or yeah, I did that, instead of saying, well, I don't really like that now, because I got people who already want to tell me, this is going to sound crazy. It's a preemptive way of not letting me judge them.
Right.
I already know
Right.
how I am, so you don't have to judge me. And it's
Right.
almost like, well, why do you say that I think you're crazy?
Right.
Which is very telling.
Right.
And so the hope is that they don't have to have these disclaimers about their existence. So
Yeah.
my work is to try to deconstruct these things.
Yeah.
So hopefully
and
that
the key word
makes
for me,
sense.
I don't know if this is hopeful. I don't know if this is a triggering word for you, but is should.
Yes.
I frequently hear the word should, and I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I should. And I'm always, my question is always, where does that should come from? And that's a little bit of deconstructing, because obviously
Yes.
something was put in their mind that I really should be living according to a certain rule.
Standard rule.
Yeah, whatever it is. And sometimes what they're saying is not bad, meaning I should work out. But really what you're really trying to say is I want to be healthy. Should I work out for a half hour and do this at that particular gym at that time is not the same thing as saying I want to live a healthy life.
Yes.
And that's where I think some people get confused. But so I love that's what your view is and how
Yeah.
you see it.
So kind of what I'm hearing too is, I know you're not really on social media, but do you feel like social media has hurt a lot of not only relationships, but just the person's, just a person's whole being? I bring that up because we just did a podcast, I think it was last week, about social media. Well, we've done a couple since we've started this
right.
podcast on social media, and people living through vicariously through what other people are doing, and there's always, back in the day in Facebook when it first started coming out, there was a joke about, oh, I have 9,000 friends, and they're like, well, why don't you go out and do something with one of them? Well, no, they're not friends that I would hang out with. They're just, okay, we'll do something with one of your friends. Well, I really don't have friends, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just wonder what social media has done to people today, living, like, watching, like, oh, they're such a good couple. I was saying this on the last call. They're so cute. They're so great. They have a good family. They're, the next thing you know, you find out they're getting divorced, it's like, because you only put your highlights on
Yes.
social media. And so I feel like a lot of times, just kind of to your point, what you're saying is that people aren't living their wholehearted life, their wholehearted being, because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. They're trying to have the house that person just bought on their Instagram feed, or you know what I mean? And so, I mean, do you get any clients that kind of maybe talk about that in particular? Like,
Not necessarily in particular, but there is the same kind of situation where they have grown up believing that they should be or should not be something. I think social media probably expedites or exasperates that kind of condition. And it's difficult to combat against, something that I think further and facilitates a life of illusions. It's almost like this facilitates the matrix, one might say.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is people are questing for the grasping of, like in Buddhism would say, the illusion of things. And we form attachments to it. And then we obviously create narratives around it. Like you're saying, if you see somebody and you look at they have the greatest family, and then all of a sudden that family falls apart, it almost feels like the voyeuristic one was portrayed.
Yeah.
Because the exhibitionist one displayed, and they didn't. We conjectured upon it a lie.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is I think that becomes kind of a setup for people to be very heartbroken, disappointed, exasperating expectations and desires, and then next thing you know, it's almost like a bait and switch.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your kids in social media? Are they on it? Or, I mean, they're grown men at this point, actually, you know, but was there ever like, you know, I don't want you getting on TikTok or, you know, did you have?
How'd you guys monitor that?
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't think we've done a good job. I don't think so. I mean, I think we tried, but you got to understand, I might in this modern day seem to be an extremist, and I'm not anti that, but I think because I look at it through the lens that I just described, I don't want to engage in that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to put the needle in my arm because everybody else is doing it and have that. But I watch my boys and they get into it. And the thought for me, and this is where my parenting comes in, is I look at it as like it's a slippery slope onto a certain kind of futuristic lifestyle where my boys will now become catatonic and just look at screens for the rest of their life.
Right.
That may not be true, but it informs how I act and treat them in the present moment. So I have to retract that conjected perspective, or I'm going to treat them in a very non-loving way.
Right.
So somewhere along the line, I can't let my mind wander too far into the future. But it still hurts to see my boys feel like they are getting sucked into the matrix. And again, let's just say for some person, they're like, your kids aren't doing anything. But from my standard, it feels like they're doing too much.
Yeah.
And so on some level, and Maribel and I talk about this too, is I feel like I'm the 1950s dad who's looking at my 1980s kid watching MTV, and I'm like freaking out. Because Billy Idol's singing more and more. So, but again, it's not saying that I'm being oversensitive. It's also there feels like there's an overindulgence in it that makes me uncomfortable.
The thing that's so hard about social media, I mean, I'm just even talking personally, is the algorithms are designed for exactly what they do, which is you want the next one. Like it's not enough, and it's exactly the same thing that happens with addiction, is that your brain gets that hit. And then the serotonin, that adrenaline, and then you go, oh, with the next one. And then all of a sudden you start really creating it, and a half hour goes by, and you thought, oh, I'm just going to take a quick look. And then it's a half hour, and then it's an hour. And then the problem is, and where Valerie, I think, is going too, is that all of a sudden I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I want to look at the device.
I know. That's
I
the thing that breaks
can't
my
talk to
heart.
you anymore. And that's where and then the bummer for me, at least when I see social media, at least with clients, is the education that they sometimes get, or what they're learning and what they believe that they have to believe about themselves or about others, and it all, they don't realize you're getting that because of the algorithms, because of what we talked about in the beginning of the last podcast, which is you mentioned that you wanted a car, and the next thing you know, that's what it's going to show you. That's what they're not stupid.
Yeah.
I mentioned to somebody, I said, I don't understand TikTok because I just don't look at TikTok.
Yeah.
And versus like Instagram. And what's fascinating to me is it's all about the algorithms. It's because it's basically the same, in terms of you see videos and photos, right? You see things like that. But why is it so important right now for people? It's because they, for whatever reason, those particular algorithms know how to hook you that much longer. And that to me is problematic for kids, especially.
Yes.
I mean, it's problematic for adults, but adults are going to make their decision.
Of course.
But for kids, if you imprint that on them, then now they just don't even understand how to react to people in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because just devices in general have, I know I've said this before, but I work at a school and watching parents pick up their children and they're all walking up, staring at their phone. They don't even look down at their kid. I'm like, oh, here she is, and they're just like, oh yeah, pat them on the head and keep walking as they're still staring at their phone. I'm just like, oh my God, leave the phone in the car and come and pick your kid. Give them 5 minutes. Like, just we're in school for 6-7 hours,
I've heard of this restaurant. I can't remember where it is right now, that you're required to turn in your phones when you walk in.
Oh.
Yeah. They actually require you to turn in your phone. And,
Ray wouldn't be able to turn in his phone because he never even brings his phone when he leaves his house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're really extreme.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
no-
you're one of the radicals.
No,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Freedom.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
No,
I agree.
I mean, it's not based on a principle. It's more of my wife has her phone, so there's no need for me to carry it around. I mean, if we have an emergency or someone wants contact, they just channel through her. So, and I think also too, you're talking about my sense of intentionality. I try to live as intentional as I can because I kind of do a reverse engineering on my perspective of life. I'm going to die. We're all going to die. And
Oh, crap.
I know.
Hey, everybody.
By the way,
Iggy, write that down in the notes.
So, and I believe that we all write our own eulogy, but other people read it on our behalf. So the thought is I want to make sure that my eulogy is a well-written eulogy. So I figure I might as well live it out so it can be read out. And so for me, I'm very intentional about human relations. And so I want to make sure that the given moment is my best opportunity and the best optimized moment that I have, because that's all I have. And so I just don't want us to be distracted while we're with each other. And that's the thing that hurts me. It's not so much that maybe my boys want to be on their phone or they want to be, I feel like it distracts us from the relationality in this given moment. And that feels like a moment that's passed. And that
Do you ever
causes
tell
me
them
grief.
to put them down, or do you just like, it is what it is?
No, I'm a lunatic at times. Oh, you're on that phone again, huh? Okay. Very passive aggressive. Don't worry, I'm going to die anyway.
What are you going to say in my eulogy? Oh, I didn't see him. I was on the phone.
Dad's dead? Hold on a second.
I just read
3
that my
months
dad
ago.
must have died.
I don't go to that extreme, but they know that I have an aversion to that I'm trying to wrestle with, because again, it's not what I say, it's the energy they feel that will determine how they think I think of them.
Yeah.
And so I wrestle with that. There's moments I do well, and there's other times it just eats me alive, where it's like, okay, you got to put that down. You got to go outside, you know? And the thing is, my boys are very active boys, and you guys know that. They play football. Their evolution is age appropriate. It's just me. It's my fear of where this is going to be a slippery slope.
Right.
And so I'm trying to nip it in the butt, but I have to retract that, because that is an illusion. Me conjecting into their future is an illusion.
Yeah.
And I don't want that illusion to inform how I treat them in
The moment,
actuality.
the
Yeah,
day.
absolutely.
Because you're-
But it does hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not a stoic dad. I'm very hurt by what happens to my, remember, I'm enmeshed with my boys. Remember, I'm codependent.
Yeah.
So as they go, I try not to go, but sometimes I can't help it.
What would your boys say about you living wholeheartedly?
It's a great question. I actually get
Should we take a break? No, just kidding.
no. I get choked up when you say that. I don't know. I really don't know. I could hope that they believe that Dad was authentic, that Dad loved us to his
Oh,
best
no, he's gonna
ability,
make me cry.
that he tried, wasn't perfect, but it was okay that he wasn't perfect, because we knew that he loved us, and it didn't have to be perfect love,
Yeah.
but it was enough to make us feel secure, and that he was a decent human being.
Yeah.
So I haven't pondered that question, and that question could now reside in my
Well, I
brain.
really hope that
so-
you die before I do, so that I could go to your funeral and hear what the boys have to say.
Absolutely. Well, anybody else want to jump on that bandwagon? We all want you to die.
I'll just watch the recording on TikTok.
So will my boys. The three of you are going to be like, hey, that's my old man.
No, there's something like, and again, I think that's one of the reasons I thought about you for this podcast, because you are such an intentional father. And I will say that both of you guys have raised such amazing, kind gentlemen.
Thank
They
you.
are very, we go over to their house and they come out of their bedrooms, whether they're with friends playing video games or their girlfriend or whatever it is, they will leave their rooms to come out and say hello to us and give us a hug and stand there for a second. And then we're like, oh, it's like, you can go back with your friends. Oh, okay. And I know that's not something that you guys said, make sure you come out and say hi to them, because maybe when they're 6, you do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But, right now they're men. And I'm just amazed at how kind and how, I guess that's the word I would describe your boys as, very kind.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank
It
you.
sounds very intentional. One thing that's interesting with when I speak with parents, I use this illustration. I wish I didn't think about it until this very second, but I use this. It's very high tech. So I get a little bit of toilet paper and I hold it like this, and I hold it open for the YouTubers, and I just stretch it out like it's like 4 different, little sheets. Squares. And then I hold it and I say, this is the lifespan of your kids. And then I rip off the one side and I say, we're talking about this. And if you're only parenting for this, then you're missing out on this.
Yeah.
The other 3 squares. And so I say, well, really, parenting from beginning to end is all about preparing them for these other 3 squares. It's not about this one. And it just is a paradigm shift because so many people are so worried about what's happening at this moment. And so what she just said is what triggered me, is because you probably did intentionally do some things in order for them to act appropriately with other adults.
Yes.
But now it's innate.
Yes.
It's part of who they are. They can't imagine not doing it.
Yes.
And it probably feels like inappropriate if they don't. Like, even if they don't like doing it, it still feels like,
I don't and it's interesting. I don't know if they've ever shared that with you, but I don't see them as ever thinking, oh, I don't like doing this. Maybe they do, but you would never know it by how their disposition is. The other question I wanted to ask about parenting in general for faith, because I know you have mentioned God. I know that you are a believer. How has that been with your boys? Like, did you intentionally say you are going to believe, or did you say, hey, we're going to church and I want you to figure it out on your own? Or what was that? What did that look like?
Great question. Well, we went to church on Sunday. We brought them with us, and there were times when we didn't go to church. There's times when they sleep in. There's times when we get up and take them to church. So it's not like we're dragging them to the altar, and we're not forcing anything. We're hoping that they will experience, I guess, the spirit of Christianity, the spirit of God, in the sense of how we love them and talk to them. And we talk about, doctrine, and you could imagine as I lecture to them, right, Benny, about about the salvation of their souls.
Yeah.
So it's, and we pray. I mean, that great thing that me and Maribel have implemented, every night before we go to bed, we all get together and we just say a little prayer. And it's a great habit. It's a great thing that we do. And it's a simple prayer, but it makes us feel unified.
Yeah.
And so,
you do it like you don't do whatever kind of prayer. It's a particular prayer.
No, it's at the end of the night, and if Aiden's home, we're all going to go, okay, let's go ahead and pray, shut off the TV, and then Maribel, you pray, Ethan, you pray, and it's like, hey, thanks for the day, thanks for bed.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So it's not like our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Or, Saint Benedict's prayer from. So we are not dogmatic about our faith with our boys. We hope we exemplify that, and we hope that they, it's not like we hope they make some kind of choice. I mean, we do channel our faith in the name of Christianity or Jesus. So it is particular, but it is not in the sense that this is what it A, B, and C. It's not scriptive. It's not prescriptive, but hopefully it's something that causes them to, and part of my prayer is that they would ultimately have their own intimate relationship apart from us with God.
Right.
So, that's a question that I haven't necessarily pondered, just like the question that you posed me. So I'm kind of shooting from the hip here.
No, that's great. No,
these.
it's great. And it makes a lot of sense. I do know from my conversations with you guys that you guys will skip Sunday sometimes, and
because I'm hungover. Yeah, I'm just kidding, Benny.
No, but like you guys. No, but I know that you.
I've been with you guys a couple Saturday nights.
So easy, big fella.
No, I know that you guys do regularly go to church.
Yes.
But if you do skip a day, I know that Aiden's has gotten up and said something like, oh, you didn't wake me up for church.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't go. Oh, well, why didn't and so, and then when you guys came to our church one time, he was like, well, why are you going there? Because I want to go to church with you guys. And so I think that's very cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if Ethan does that, but
no, Ethan's the younger one. He's like, we'll get up on Sunday morning and there's a text. Please don't have me get up for church. It's my only day to sleep in. It's on summer break. What about the other 6 days? You got out of bed at 11 o'clock. And he says, the Sabbath was made for me, Dad. No, he doesn't.
Sundays you can go sleep until 12.
Exactly. So,
that's funny.
So I think, again, if this makes sense, we're not passive, but we're not directive. Somewhere in there, I think there is a swirling of how we raise our kids and implement faith and spirituality.
So we've talked a great deal about your kids. Now I'm curious about your wife.
Yes.
So she's here right now. So I feel weird. So you might feel weird talking about it. But what's that relationship like? What's that like? And what's parenting like? Because you're talking about your role. I'm wondering about her role.
What
too.
is it like to parenting together?
Yeah.
But two-parter. What is your relationship like?
And maybe you just talk about how
Are
can
we
you
done? Time's up,
It just
right?
became a three-parter.
maybe
The fourth part, Ray's divorced, and he needs a place to live.
Maybe really what we can say instead of talking about your relationship is what are some things that have been helpful in your relationship with your wife and parenting?
Oh, being friends with Valerie and Peter.
I mean, the example with these two in our life has transformed us. No, I don't mind talking about our relationship. I think our relationship it's a great relationship in the sense that I believe that there are strong bonds. I think there's strong bonds based on experiences together and willful choices to be intentional about those bonds. And I think those bonds have been formed as a result of sorries and forgivenesses and understanding each other's characters. I mean, Maribel drives me crazy. She's on the spectrum.
She's like a squirrel.
Yes,
She
she's
is
on
like
the
a squirrel.
But I mean, her assets obviously can be at times detriments, just like my assets could be detriments to her. So I think it's about, for the two of us, learning how to navigate the differences of our personality and allowing each other to be different. Someone once said that love is two people coming together as one while still remaining two, which is very different from the biblical thing, right? Where they cleave. But
Right.
I want Maribel to be the best Maribel that she could ever be.
Right.
And in order to do that, I have to have internal strength and congruency with myself and not feel like I'm going to be intimidated by her individuality. That could be anything, right? Who knows what her individuality is? And I guess I don't want to suffocate that. I think God has given her the gift of a certain kind of life. Who am I to thwart that?
Right.
And my insecurity in the early stages of our relationship definitely would thwart those kind of things. And as I've grown and as we've grown, my hope is that she could, spread her wings, whatever that means. And I'm not trying to make sure that she doesn't hurt me. And I hope it's vice versa. And I get that sense too. I mean, Maribel has dealt with, maybe you're getting a taste of who I am. I'm not really all that easy,
And
maybe.
a bag of chips.
A big bag, family pack. So I think it's about learning how to dance together. And at times, seasons with kids just makes it even that much more difficult too. We just went to, it was interesting. We just recently went to New York, and Maribel and my younger son seemed like they were the couple because they were trying to navigate the subways. And at some point I said to them, just to remind you guys, you're not a couple. I'm your husband. I did say that too, because there was a part of me I was going, this is kind of weird. I don't know what's going on here. Electric, whatever that syndrome is that Freud said. So, in a nutshell, that's how. And with regards to parenting, we parent different, but we are very collaborative with our parenting on how we. And I think we have the same philosophical belief that we want what's best for our kids. So,
and I love you saying I forgot the first part of it, but you said forgiveness. You said something about, and forgiveness is just a huge part of it, right? For a relationship. And I love the idea of saying that you're both you're both trying to become the best versions of yourself, and then that blends, and then you figure out how to do this
because I know
together.
when I got married, people were like, there was a thing that said, it's 50-50, give and take, and actually it should be 100%.
Yeah.
As much as it can. As much as you, it's almost like how much can you show up in this moment?
Yeah.
And whatever you show up, this is not a fixed state. There's fluidity and elasticity. If you think it's fixed state, 50-50, it's like we're confining our relationship to a rigid principle.
Yeah.
And so my thought is throw out the principles, throw out the rigidity, and hopefully have enough strength in your relationship that actually solicits fluidity and freedom. That's my hope.
You're reminding me of something I read one time about marriage, and it was interesting because they said basically what it was talking about is each individual is they build up their own house. Like we build up like I build up my house based on how I grew up from baby to whenever we get married. Yeah, right? Everything, and the walls and everything. And I have a certain way of thinking, and I'm not talking about a physical house. Well, it could be, but also the emotional ideas of how a house should function and what should happen. Well, my spouse also has a house, and what's interesting is that what we're trying to do, and where people have problems, is they try to say, come into my house, and this person says, try to go into my house, instead of saying, hey, we need to build a new house under a new foundation, and we're going to make new rules. But you can't do that if you're so incredibly insecure and not yourself and not strong, because you're like, no, I can't let this go.
Absolutely.
I have to. So if the person is pouring into who you are and your strength and strengthening you up, then you actually feel a little bit more liberty to even give in.
Absolutely.
Not give in terms of compromise, but to say, what can we do together to make this our house now? Yeah. Sorry.
One of the things Maribel said at your wedding, the vows, was the most. I will never forget it, except that I'm forgetting exactly.
I will never forget it, and I'm gonna have to look it up because I can't remember.
Yeah, and I'm gonna probably not say it right, but this is what she said. Just always stuck with me, and I loved it. Plus, I love the song that you guys had too, the running with it. Okay. Anyway, no, she said her vow to you was, one of them is, I vow to not always try to be understood, but try to understand. Something like that.
Something of that nature.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I was just like, wow, because how many times are you in an argument with somebody and you just want your point across and you want to make sure you're understood instead of understanding what the other person's saying?
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Course.
And I think that's huge in in any relationship, not just your partner, your spouse, or whatever.
Right.
But
well, and when you come from that, when you're coming from that angle of wanting to be understood, it also means, or you wanting to understand, it also means you're listening.
Yes,
because
exactly.
if you want to be understood, then you're really not listening. You're just waiting for the words to stop.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I can say
and
my
that just
point.
reminds me of Dad came over today and he was walking around and I'm saying this and that, and he'll just blurt out a question. How's Kylie? And I was just like, okay, but I was talking about what? So you weren't listening at all, you know?
Yeah.
And then like 10 minutes later, same thing. I'm talking about something. Mom and I are about, how, Val, what about, and I'm like, again, not listening, And it's so, it's a very, you think it's an easy thing to do is to listen.
Of course.
But a lot of times, sometimes you're tuning out. And I know that I have been very, very guilty of, I don't know how to multitask. I know we've talked about this before, but if I'm in a mode doing something and Peter's talking to me, I don't know how to like continue doing it and hear what he's saying. And then sometimes I'll just go, all right, I'll tell you later, or I'll ask you later, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, wait, what? I have to stop everything and hear because I
think that's a woman thing.
Do that. I can't. Well, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I don't understand it because women are always told that they can multitask. But I'm going to tell you, Patty's the exact same way.
Yeah.
She seriously, and she would say this. She's in her, and I say, just acknowledge me. You can just acknowledge me.
Right,
you can
right.
and just say, I'm not listening. Even is fine. I'm not listening. Let's talk in a little bit, and I can handle that. But when she's like, and then I'm like, are you there? And then she's like, what? And I'm like, okay.
Well, then I throw out, I'm going to die one day card.
Yes.
Now, how do you like me now?
I'm just kidding. And she's like, insurance. No, I'm kidding. No, but it's true. And I mean, I'm acting like I don't do the same thing. But I will say one thing that I try to do really, really well.
Than it does with men. I really do.
Well, and the one thing that I do well is I do say, sweetheart, I'm not listening to you right now. Can you tell me in a few seconds?
Yeah.
I literally let her know that. She will just start. I'll ask her a question. She won't acknowledge me, and she'll start She'll start doing something about it, and I go, "Hello," and she goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Did you hear me?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm already asking them." And da-da-da. I'm like,
"Well, then say
just
something.
Say something. just acknowledge."
I think we've talked about this before. We'll be walking, and Peter will say something like, oh, the sky's beautiful. He probably didn't say that, but whatever. And then I'll acknowledge it in my head. Oh yeah, the sky's beautiful. But I don't say, oh yeah, it is. And he's like, did you hear me? Like, yeah, I heard you. I didn't know it needed a response, but he just wants to be acknowledged that he said something,
Yeah. That's a huge Gottman principle. You do the Gottman principle, of John Gottman, he's the one that can predict within 10 minutes if you're going to be divorced or not in 5 years.
Oh, I think it's John Gotti.
John
No.
Gottman.
Oh, that's
And the
crazy.
principle is that if someone makes an attempt to connect, that you should healthy marriages are somewhere, I'm going to make up the number because I don't remember, but it's like 80% of the time they respond in some way, shape, or form. They respond, and when they don't, it's an indication of other things which I won't get into right
Yeah.
now. So, but it's
Well, I
really
think everybody
fascinating.
responds in the first. What did you say that he does that by? Because you're in that honeymoon phase where you're constantly like, oh, what did you say? Oh, I missed
Oh
what
no,
you
no,
said.
I'm
Did
not
you
saying
say-
the first
Oh.
10 minutes of their relationship.
Oh.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
the first 10 minutes that he's with
that
the
he's
couple.
with them, and by
Yes.
the time they're with them,
Yeah.
there's a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what he did was he would walk around and say, "Is this your first date? Okay, talk." And he did that for thousands of people.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
So, do you have any last minute things that you would like to share? We're not gonna. You really don't have to. I just want to know if there's anything that we didn't ask you about that you were thinking, I would like to talk about this. Go ahead.
No, I think you guys allowed me to speak freely, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm very grateful that you've given me this opportunity. I'm very flattered by this. And I think you guys asked wonderful questions that I was able to answer, and then other questions that I had to ponder and answer at the same time, which is great. I love it. And so I don't have anything to add other than gratitude for this opportunity.
Oh,
So
well,
thank
we're
you
really
so
grateful
much.
you're with us.
Yeah,
How
for
do
sure.
people that are listening and say, I wouldn't mind having therapy from this guy, how would they get a hold of you?
They can go to my website, which is Raymond Leland. That's LEYLAND, LMFT.com.
Great.
Ray@RaymondLeland.LMFT.com.
And we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so it'll
Yeah.
be there. So,
Okay. Great.
And so you go from there. But, Ray, it's 4th
that's
of July
my-
tomorrow. That's what you're hearing. Everybody's so excited that you're leaving. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Ray, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming
Benny.
on. Really,
Yeah,
Thank you,
I really
Valerie.
appreciate it.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
It's great.
All right, you guys. Well, that is it.
Yeah, great. So we're Wholehearted Living. I forgot what we're doing. At Wholehearted_Living_podcast. You can get us on Spotify
And watch us on YouTube.
And can't we do something else now? Or is it still just Spotify? Oh,
It's the
never
same.
mind.
Oh wait, we didn't say hi to Iggy in the
Oh,
second part
Iggy.
of it.
Hi,
Iggy
Iggy.
is our
Hello.
sound guy.
No, we didn't
He
need
keeps
to.
us in sound.
So anyway, but we're really
Oh.
glad that. But Iggy, thank you, and we're gonna see you. We'll see you guys next week.
That's right. Bye.
Ciao.